Hi, this is Dr. Justina Agnieszka Chevalier. In this video, I will respond to cases or casuses from Latin that are medical legal and that I offered in my book manual in the second or third draft to solve to various providers of a correctional type, as well as persons who interfere in conflict formation and conflict prevention. So this is a video to answer first the case of a potential conflict in a strip club where there are various women, and one of them is wearing as a unique person a bunny ears, and then one of the clients who arrives in the context of that strip club for that show puts those as well intentionally. And one of those questions were to evaluate such action for potential of conflict, violent or non-violent one, as well as take remediative action. I also placed how she actually has a boss in a non-sexual way that is providing her safety in form of security, and that she's in no relationship to him. She only is a performer. And it is, let's remark, in that case, not a prostitutional institution. It is for sake of show, so no touching is allowed in that facility. To solve that case, first we need to understand what I've described in first chapters or lectures of that video, which is an alignment in dress code, in physiological responses, as well as in also a prior existing to it interest, education and relationship to become a spouse. And then that is when contact between persons occurs, subject to verification in own volition, and decision upon it is based on instinctive pursuit, so sexual impulse of a child of a given person versus others. So that is then what decides upon being part of a social group versus being part of a couple dynamic that marks by such intentional action. I would like to pursue you as in this case, for a spouse of my choice. That is what that intentionality means. And then how to bring a person, so that a worker in a strip club performer, when she sees such action, how to know if that person actually is serious or not, and based on own mental state and state of a physical body, a elaborate response. From there, all the answers will come to you easy. The state of mind is such that if that person, the man who did so to elevate the status of that woman above all other females existing in his life to potential spouse in form of social pride, by mimicking how she's dressed with those ears, to distinguish self as a provider of safety and potential for a spouse, and does so in pride and recognition if she corresponds in such hope, which means there's no other female who wears bunny ears but that one, and that needs to, for him to continue acting as such, take a form of delight in her from such action, as opposed to remediative action to dissipate it. Delight in such action in her mind and body, if you are such person in any circumstance, or a person in such situation that is responsible for de-escalating any potential conflicts, you need to know that is manifested in pleasurable adoration, first of a non-sexual type, that is an initiation of romantic love, feeling chosen, a sense of elation, feeling protected, feeling that that person per se is serious and wants to pursue for a lifelong relationship. And in such response, then based on the degree of that person's personal sacrifice betting on that person, as opposed to being rejected if such is recognized, by dissimulating it and seeking for other females to as well send such message, or presenting that as ideal, presenting a sexual relationship somewhere, and that sexual relationship in own realization, not a pursuit of a child, which is unlawful in nature but part of entertainment. And that has to be established in dynamic of these two first, also as observers. So if all others see such dynamic, the woman who actually pursues that man because of sexual derived instinct to have his children, and that in seriousness of that declaration. For example, he's a single man that he wants her as wife, as preferred, appears there often, wants to marry her, for instance. That is serious relationship. And then he has to match the authority figure in that woman's life. For example, the boss who pays for those shows, the person who is the security guard who provides her safety, the person who is authority figure in that wife's life that provides her, for instance, or is a source for her of provision of money from that show. All of this he needs to match into being source of care. When less competent, for instance, a man tripped, or a man, for instance, is depleted of funds, and find that she, above all others, provides in hopes of reciprocity, in uniqueness and prioritizing of him, enabled in such by reciprocity of serious desire and love that results in dream come true in mind content, a relationship by two per two each. And so then that in action in field we observe then who poses risk, acting as a rival, and has no intention to pursue serious romantic sexual relationship and provide children as a result of that sex, impeding serious relationship of personal nature with that man, for example, or whoever else. And that is the person, not the other way around, who, if especially that person wears a gun, a person is a security, private security guard, warrants calling police to enable that couple from dancing, from going out, in that couple is familiar together, making an official statement also to parents or co-workers, because that is part of it, that this is how the dynamic is. If they are present, if they are absent, informing about such. And that is what needs to happen in police work, in mentality. Persons who impede formation of personal, sexual, adult, lasting relationship based on a natural law to have children, self-offering, sale of entertainment of any sorts, food provision or entertainment of sexual or quasi-sexual, such as thing in nature. Those persons in firm decision, in presence of romantic love and desire of greater magnitude, to not to pursue, will be automatically in the mind of that woman lessened to a person who is impeding as a perpetrator a relationship, forming so-called hostage situation. To solve hostage situation, when we observe arousal in violence to pursue harming of that woman on a stage in proportion to seriousness, so serious romantic love and pursuit of getting out of it, to rely on self and on the other person for an income, for provision for own child, that hostility expressed in impediment constitutes a crime and has to be stopped, and person who pursues harm to such woman reported and arrested, while safety of pursuit of such a relationship and job of different nature because of maturation and change of status enabled, because such is actually law in the United States and worldwide. So how do we know that? When that woman responds in delight and she wishes to continue, and that man distinguishes that woman in provision of goods, safety, well-being, and presentation to others display of primal love, which means provision of that person of a status of significant other by recognition of such role in public, by demonstrating love, tenderness, and pursuit of an exclusive relationship, which is asking for her exclusive attention. And then when we see such, we evaluate who is the one who is trying to con that woman, or who it is that is trying to do harm, derived from prevention of such relationship, or derived from forcing relationship against her natural protective towards self, exclusiveness of pursuit of relationship only when they are associated with serious degree of desire, in love manifested in such ideation as explicit and pursuit of assumption of formal role in public, that initiates with non-consciated alignment in the ecosystem, and has to include all of that a human is: intellect, free will, and non-pressured therefore decision in reciprocity and same degree of corresponding pursuit of recognition of that person, in love, in incapacity to then think or love somebody else because that other person is delighting upon it the most, and persons pursue other source of income or share whatever those two have. Then in observation, when such security is there of that woman, when she frowns, wants to fight back, and that man pursues humiliation in mix of anger, own anger, and he desires to pursue blocked per not willing to offer a role of a superior partner, and yet pursues, for instance, touching of that woman that has high potential for harm, and so that warrants that that man is asked to leave, as opposed to an action if that woman responds in delight and is in love, and that man in goodness of sincere intentions to form family unit with that woman, outmatches the boss and the security, as well as all of other present workers and customers, in declarations of such in public that we are a family unit. And that is what determines who to back up in such pursuit, and make sure that you do not pursue non-wanted rejection or non-wanted pursuit of relationship and forcing it.